across Asia, Africa, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'd love to know where you're joining us from. Type into the chat, where are you joining from? If you're joining from London in the UK, Glasgow in Scotland, joining from Lagos in Nigeria, Ghana, type into the chat, where are you joining from? And I'll start. I'm currently joining you from Alberta, Canada. Okay, so let's know where you're joining from. Okay, Jude is joining from Ireland, London. Fantastic, Emeka. Olasheni is from the UK, Sheffield, Atlanta, Ireland, Northern Ireland. Fantastic. Cookstown. I'm not sure I know Cookstown. I think I've been to Belfast in Northern Ireland. Okay, fantastic. Absolutely phenomenal. We're going to have an amazing time today. All right, so feel free. Anybody you know that needs to be here, they've been trying to land jobs, but they don't know what to do. They've been applying to jobs and they've been getting rejections. They need to be in this session today. Share the link with them and get them on board. All right, so let's get cracking with our session today. Okay, so I want us to have an interactive session as much as possible. We'll have a Q&A before we wrap up later. The session will take between 1.5 to 2 hours, but it will be worth every single second of your time. Okay, so you know somebody that should be here, share the link with them, get them on board, and let's have an amazing time together. So understanding the skills and the reason why this is important, and also understanding the experience required. The reason why it's important is because a lot of people try to apply to jobs looking at things from their own lens and from their own perspective, but not from the perspective of the employers. So how do you land a job when you don't know what the employers want? All right. So I'm going to share my experience with you, and I'll share so many case studies of people like you who joined a session like this. They took the first step, and today they are doing amazingly well in different organizations in the UK on visa sponsorship and so on and so forth in the US and all of that. But before we dive into the main meat, for us at Tenalytics, for those joining us for the very first time, we are the leading educational technology company helping professionals high-paying jobs, irrespective of where you are. Over the last 4 years, going into the fifth year, we've helped over 3,000 people to make that transition to land jobs across multiple regions, from the UK to the US, Canada, Europe, across Asia, and across multiple career paths. We've helped care workers become business analysts. We've helped accountants become project managers. We've helped healthcare assistants become business data analysts and so many more. And I'll be sharing how that is even possible, how you can also do the same. What did they do? And how can you also do the same? And the areas we focused on are areas that you have high demand across multiple regions, from data analytics to business analysis, data science, data engineering, cybersecurity, agile project management, and so forth. And for me, for those of you meeting me for the first time, my name is Adeza Suleiman. I'm a technology expert with over a decade experience cutting across management consulting, data analytics, data engineering, and so on. Using Tenalytics as a platform and also the co-founder, we've helped over 3,000 people with no prior technology background transition into the tech ecosystem. And just like myself, my first degree was industrial chemistry, nothing related to tech, had no background, had no education, but I've worked as a data analyst, data science consultant in the UK. I've lived and I've worked in the UK, currently live and work in Canada. I've worked remotely for companies in the US while I was in Nigeria. I've worked as a data analyst, a management information systems analyst with one of the largest privately owned energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa. I've also worked as a data analytics consultant with FITC, owned by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Bankers Committee. And my experience spans across multiple sectors, from energy to sports to financial services, where I started my career, to educational technology and automobile. And I'll share my experience as we move on today. We'll have an amazing time, like I said. you have any question, my colleagues are also in the chat. Pop your questions in the chat and I'll pop in there time in, time out to see and respond to some of the questions you have. But for those you can't type into the chat, just write it somewhere. Okay, get a notepad, write it down, and at the end of the session, have 30 minutes of Q&A where you can ask all the questions that you have. But I promise you three things today. Three things I'll show you how to do. And the first one is I'll show you how to choose the right career path, a high demand career path. Okay. And then I'll show you how to identify what employers want in a candidate before they hire them. So if you've been looking at things from your own perspective, it's time for you to make a shift. What do employers want? I'm currently in Northern Ireland, for example. I'm in Belfast. I'm in Scotland, in Glasgow, in Edinburgh. I want to land a job. What would the employer want from me? That's the big question you need to ask yourself. And finally, I'd show you how to position yourself for success, how and where to apply, and how people have also done the same. So I'm going to drive my session today with a lot of case studies, a lot of success stories of people like you with no background, no knowledge, but they've been able to make that switch. All right. So let's dive into the first part of our session today, choosing the right career path. And this is where a lot of people make the wrong decision. Okay. Now, the big question is if I want to transition. So I used to live in Nigeria. I moved from Nigeria to the UK, moved from the UK to Canada, and I never had to struggle to land a job. And the question is, how did you make that happen? How was that even possible in the first instance? And the question you must always try to answer is, where are the opportunities? If I'm currently in the UK, what are the opportunities available to me? What jobs are in high demand? All right. And if I decide to even leave the UK to any other place, looking at a global perspective or from a global perspective, where are the opportunities? So it doesn't matter where I am. I want to be competitive across the job market. Okay. So the first things we do, or one of the first things we do at Analytics is we carry out a job board analysis. And we do this every year. So we scrape data from the major job boards, from LinkedIn, Glassdoor, CV Library, Workopolis, um, ZipRecruiter, Total Jobs, and the major job boards. And we try to identify what roles are employers hiring for? What career paths are currently in demand? We try to look for that. But we also know that because a career path is high in demand, does not necessarily mean it's easy to transition into. And I like giving the example of the blockchain engineer, for example. Okay. So blockchain engineering is fantastic. But as a blockchain engineer, you'd probably take another 2 years to 2.5 years for you to transition. It's not easy to transition into, even though it's a career path that is in high demand. So we had to filter those roles to identify not just high in demand, but the career path that are also easy to transition into. Between 6 months to 8 months, which roles can I easily learn the skills and make that pivot in my career? Okay, so we looked at that. Then we looked at the global perspective. So where is the world of work going? And this is where the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report becomes very important. And the World Economic Forum releases this report called the Future of Jobs report every 2 years. And the most recent was in January this year, 2025. And what they simply show you are the jobs that would grow in demand and the jobs that will decline in demand over the next 5 to 10 years. It's a no-brainer, and it only makes sense that if I want to pivot today and I want to transition, then I can easily identify where the opportunities are. Okay, and I'm going to highlight a couple of them. Now, for every single article, every single report I'll be sharing with you, they would all come with a link. So you can, at the end of today's session, if you want to receive my slide, have access to all these materials, make sure you fill the attendance form. Very important. My colleagues will share that. They'll drop that in the chat from time to time. Ensure that you fill the attendance form so you have access to all of these amazing materials. Okay. Now, let's have a look at what the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report simply highlights. And I love showing this because if you know that opportunities are within specific career path, then I won't have to bother myself transitioning into something else, only to find out later that I have to make a transition again because I'm in a career path that is on the decline. Okay. Now, when we looked at this report, and we've been doing this since 2016, and the report has been released every 2 years since 2016. All right. Where are the jobs that are growing? At the left-hand side, you have the jobs that would grow. And at the right-hand side, you have the jobs that will decline. Okay. Now, in looking at the jobs that would grow in demand, number one on the list is big data specialist role. So if you are in big data, you are somebody who knows how to handle big data, manage it, and ensure that it is easily accessible to people and other stakeholders that would want to use that data. Then you'd find yourself in a career path that is not just in demand, but very high in demand, not just today, but also in the 5 to 10 years. You have the data warehousing specialist, you have the data engineers, and then you have the database and network professionals. So these are all professionals that ensure that they manage the data generated from wherever they are generated. They create the infrastructure to store that data and ensure that they are easily accessible. Those are the data engineering professionals. So if you find yourself in data engineering, it's a fantastic career path that you can rest assured that you would not struggle to land a job. Then next on the list, you have AI, machine learning specialist. You have the data analyst and the data scientist. And again, before the data analyst and the data scientists can even do their jobs, before the AI and machine learning specialists can even do their job, the data engineers would ensure that the data is available. So the data engineers would make the data available. The AI, the machine learning specialists, the data analysts, the data scientists would use that data, analyze, extract insights, and so on and so forth. So if you're in data analytics, you're in data science, you are in a fantastic career path that is not just high in demand today, but would keep on growing in demand in the next 5 to 10 years. Next on the list, you have the digital transformation specialist, the process automation specialist. And these are professionals that ensure that if a process takes 1 week or a process takes 5 days, how can we reduce that process to 5 minutes so that we are more efficient? We increase revenue, reduce losses by becoming more efficient. And that's the role of the business analyst. The business analyst goes into an organization and ensures that all processes are optimized. All right. And that's why, as a business analyst, you're also a process automation specialist. Because to take a process from 5 days to 5 minutes, you would require some level of automation. You are building an application or you're building a software. As a business analyst, you would recommend the solution to reduce and streamline the process and manage the project to ensure that that particular application or software is built, designed, and meets the requirements of that organization. So as a business analyst, you're in a fantastic career path. Then again, next on the list, you have the cybersecurity professionals, security management specialists, information security analysts, and of course, the network professionals. So if you are in the business or you work for an organization protecting their data, protecting their systems, protecting their network, as a cybersecurity professional, you are in a high in-demand career path. You'd not struggle to land a job. You'd find yourself in a career path that is on the rise, not just in demand today, but would keep on growing in demand over the next 5 to 10 years. Very important. Next on the list, you have the HR analyst as the organizational development specialist. Then you have the data analytics and the data science professionals, again, as the business intelligence analysts, the sales and marketing professionals, management and organizational analysts, supply chain and logistics specialists. And of course, you also have the database architects. These are also data engineering roles. And last but not the least, you also have the HR analyst, training and development specialist. So we looked at this particular report, the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report, and it was very clear where the opportunities were. For anybody who wanted to make or who wants to make a transition, you know where to focus on. So there are people that come to me and say, hey, Ades, I want to get into this career path. And I tell them clearly, okay, oh, I want to become a software tester and so on and so forth. It's a fantastic career path, but guess what? It's on the decline based on the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports. Okay, so I have the link right here. At the end of the session, you'd have access to my materials, to the slide, to the recording. Just make sure you fill the attendance form, and that will be made available to you at the end of today's session. So we had done our analysis as an organization across all the job boards to see the highest frequency of the jobs that are in demand, jobs employers are hiring for today. Then we looked at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report, but we didn't stop there. We narrowed it down to the regional analysis. In the UK, for example, we looked at the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. In the US, we looked at the job titles with the highest H-1B acceptance rates. Because if these are the job titles that get the highest H-1B petitions, then it only makes sense that these career paths are so much in demand that it's difficult to even find people within that country to hire. Same with the skilled worker visa as well. Yes, you've had so many changes over the last couple of months. And of course, a new immigration, policies came into effect on the 22nd of July. But guess what? There are career paths on this list that would give you access to the skilled worker visa. And I'll share just a few because of time. And of course, in Canada, we also have provincial knee programs across different provinces, the priority streams that would give you access to permanent residency. Okay. Now, looking at the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa, for example, let's take a quick look. All right. So this came into effect, was updated on the 22nd of July. All right. So if you scroll all the way down, you'd see the job codes, the job type, related job titles. This is very important because for some people, they assume that because the specific training that I attended, I did not find it as part of the job type. Does that mean that I'm not eligible for the skilled worker visa? No. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. For example, data analytics cuts across multiple related job titles. As a data analyst, I can work as a business intelligence analyst. As a data analyst, I can work as an information systems analyst. I can work as a management information analyst and so many other things. Okay, so the related job titles are also very important. Then you have another the categorization. Do they fall into the higher skilled, the medium skilled, or ineligible for the skilled worker visa? So let's take a look at a few. And I'll scroll all the way down to 2135, 2131. You'd see the IT project managers. These are the agile project managers, not your conventional project managers this time around, but the agile project managers. They are the project managers that focus on projects within the IT ecosystem. Okay. Then you have the IT business analysts. Okay. So you see the business analyst roles, the data architects, the data engineers, the IT business analysts, solution architects, and so on and so forth. Just like you saw in the World Economic Forum. So the UK is simply saying, with all these immigration changes, all we're simply telling you is we want professionals that have high quality, high skills that can come into the country, contribute to the economy, and innovate, create a creative economy for the UK. So here you have higher skilled. And what does this mean? It simply means this particular job role and the related job titles meets the core skill requirements for the skilled worker visa. That's simply what that means. All right. If you scroll down, you'd see the cybersecurity professionals. So if you're in anything around cybersecurity, governance specialist, and so on and so forth, you'd find yourself in a career path that is in high demand. If you scroll all the way down, 2431, for example, you'd see more roles. Okay, and I have all the codes on my slide. I'm going to share that with you, as I mentioned, so you have access to all of that. Okay, so you'd also see the business analyst role, business analyst, the risk analyst, and so on and so forth. So we looked at this. We did our analysis. We looked at the World Economic Forum. We went into the regional analysis. If you go to the provincial nominee programs, like the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, the Saskatchewan Tech Pathway, the BC Tech Pilot, career path that gives access to priority streams, accelerated pathway to permanent residency, you'd find them within the same career path that you'd see across these three categories. And at the end of the day, we came up with 8 different career paths that if you find yourself in any of these career paths, you would not struggle to land a job. And the beauty about this is you don't need prior experience, you don't need prior education, you don't need prior knowledge to get started in any of these career paths. The business analyst, the data analyst, the data scientist, the agile project manager, the data engineer, the cybersecurity analyst, the HR analyst, and the financial analyst. These 8 career paths, I want you to write them somewhere. Okay. And I'm also going to show you how you can also identify the career path that meets your own specific personality. Okay. So we're going to do this together and we're going to complete this very quick quiz. And it's a recommender system that recommends the career path that suits your personality, your past experience, the type of person you are, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to share the link. Okay, I'll share the link in the chat so you have access to this. Sorry, just give me 1 second. I'll get back there right now. Okay, so I'm going to share the link with you and you would all have access to this. Okay, so I'm going to drop this in the chat. I'll drop this in the chat. And I want you to click on the link and it's going to take you to this particular page. If you're not sure, out of all the 8 career paths that I just listed, we'll do it together. You'd fill a few questions and then you'd have access to understanding the best career path for you. Okay, but again, it's not set in stone. If you still have questions or you still want to ask questions, oh, I got the system recommended cybersecurity, but I'm interested in this instead. We can then have a clarity session with you and help you understand exactly the career path, which career path for you to choose. Okay, so click on that link. It brings you right here. And it's a 3-minute quiz and it would help you find the career path that matches your skills, your personality, and your goals. Okay, so let's do this in the next 3 minutes. So if I click on get started, so when you click on that, click on get started, and then you click on let's go. And this is the beginning of success for you. All right, so click on let's go. And this is where you enter your name, your first name, your last name. You enter your mobile number. Ensure you start with the country code. Okay. So you're in the US, Canada, for example, +1. You're in the UK, +44, and so on and so forth. Okay. If you're in Nigeria, +234, Ghana, +233, and so on. Okay. So +1, enter your number. Okay. Then your email as well. Okay. Your email. I'm just going to enter mine. So fill in the details, your first name, your last name, your mobile, and then your email. And of course, check this so that you can get your results at the end of the quiz. Okay. So first name, last name, number, email, and click on next. How do you feel in group settings or meeting discussions? Straightforward question. How do you feel in group settings or meeting discussions? I thrive. I love engaging, leading, or just connecting. I'm selective. I like people, but I need balance. Okay, so I'm just going to select one. I'll select this, or I prefer to work solo or behind the scenes. All right, so I'm just going to click on that. And then it takes me to the next question. So just do the same. Okay, choose the best answer that suits your own personality. What best describes your current or most recent job? If you are a caregiver, you're a nurse, you're in healthcare, select this. If you are in IT, marketing, sales, you are unemployed, freelancer, you are a career switcher, you want to switch, you're in finance and accounting, customer service, select one, okay? So I'll select this, and then it takes you to the next question. Which of these sounds most like you? Do you like solving problems with people and organizing teams? Do you prefer working with data, finding patterns? Do you enjoy protecting systems? All right. Or I just want a job that pays well, even if it is hard. Okay. So select any of the options that best suits you. How comfortable are you with tools like Excel, Google Sheets? So perhaps you don't have any experience, select the best option for you. What's your take on coding? All right. I love coding. I'm okay with light scripting or no code tools. I prefer logic puzzles over syntax. I'm just curious, but not sure if I'll enjoy it. Maybe I'm just curious. Okay. So select the option that best suits you. What kind of work environment do you prefer? All right. I like helping others and improving internal culture. Independent, technical, and data focused. Strategy and decision making. I don't know yet. Okay. So select the option that you think would be ideal for you. What's most important to you right now? You want a remote job, job security. You want to land a high paying job ASAP immediately. All right. Select the option, click on next. What kind of impact do you want to make? All right. Select whatever option that best suits you. Then finally, we want to know your interests. Okay. So which course sounds most appealing to you? All right. Again, just select the one that you feel sounds most appealing. It's not a perfect set in stone, like I said earlier. Okay. So for me, I'll just select business analysis, for example. And once you select the last option for this question, you'd see where you have tap here. Okay, so click on tap here and you'd either see a recommendation or you would see book a session. Okay, so even though I selected business analysis, because of the previous questions that I had answered, the system recommended data analytics to me. And it gave the reasons why it did that. You are curious, observant, and like to get to the bottom of things. Okay, so here there are two options. You can either decide to register for that program or you book a free call. But we're not going to get into that now. I'll show you what to do later while we wrap up our session. Okay, I'll show you what to do before we wrap up our session today. All right, so you can either book a free call, I'll show you how to do that, or you can simply just register for that particular program. I don't know why this keeps coming. Okay, so if you've done what I've done and you have a recommendation, type it into the chat. Type it into the chat where you recommended business analysis, data analytics, cybersecurity. Type into the chat. Let's see what you have. If you got a recommendation, or for those who couldn't complete the quiz, perhaps you don't have a recommendation, but you know the career path you are interested in. Out of the 8 that I listed, just type into the chat. Let's see. Okay. Ada says HR analytics, fantastic. Jennifer, data analytics, just like me. Musa, data analytics. Kelvin, cybersecurity. Francis, Festus, Festus, business analysis, Olasheni, data engineering, Jumi, business analyst, absolutely brilliant. Grace got HR analytics. Victor got cyber security. Israel got data engineering. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So you're also going to have access to this particular link when you get my slide at the end of the session. So before we wrap up today, just make sure you fill the attendance. Don't miss out on that. So you have access to all of these materials. Okay, so I'll show you what to do and how to go ahead and either book a call or you go ahead and register. But before we get there, the big question is, we've completed the very first aspect of our session today, which is choosing the right career path. Very important. So you notice that we didn't just, select a career path from thin air. We looked at analysis to see the jobs that are in high demand. We looked at the World Economic Forum, future of jobs. Where will the future of work be? And the regional analysis, the UK eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. If I get a job as a cybersecurity professional in the UK and the company has the license to sponsor, can I get a COS, a certificate of sponsorship? And can I apply for a skilled worker visa? So we looked at the regional analysis and we saw the career path that would give you access to those opportunities. And that's how you select a high in-demand career path, irrespective of where you are. Now we're going to move to the second aspect of our session today. What do employers want? Because if you know what employers want, you can give it to them easily. All right. So you've decided on the career path. For so many of you, you have your recommendations, Abdul Hamid, financial analytics, and so on. So you have your recommendations. You know the career path that would suit you the best. Now that you know that, what do employers want from you? How do you ensure that now that I decide I want to move into cybersecurity or data analytics or business analysis, how do I go about it? Employers want only two things from you. I love telling people this. Only two things. They want your skills and your experience. Okay, it's a no-brainer. Everybody would know this. And what we do at Analytics is we call this competence over credentials. The mistake people make is they focus too much on credentials, the paper qualification. I have this certificate, I have this master's degree, I have this and I have that. But we've seen that for so many employers, they don't really care where you studied. If you studied in, University of Akure in Nigeria, or you studied in Unilag, or you studied in Ghana, it doesn't matter. Do you have the skills and do you have the experience? Have you done it before? Can you do it for us? If we hire you, can you hit the ground running? These are the two things employers want from you. And competence comprises of what? Your skills and your experience. Okay, so employers want just these two things from you. So the big question now is, how do I learn the skills in a way that I know how to do the job on day one? And I've seen so many people who call themselves data analysts, business analysts, but they have no clue on how to work as a business analyst. They know the terminologies, they know the theoretical concepts, but how do I solve a problem? How do I go into that role on day one and start adding value? You have to learn in a specific way to get to that extent. And I'll show you that. And I would also show you how to gain experience, because a lot of people have the skills, but they don't have the experience. And if you can't answer competency-based questions during an interview, tell me about a time you built a machine learning model and you deployed it as a data scientist. What were your considerations before selecting the best machine learning algorithm? If you've never done that before, you struggle to answer that question. question. As a business analyst, tell about a time you've managed a difficult stakeholder and how did you handle the situation? If you haven't done it before, you'd struggle to answer questions that would aim to assess your experience. Okay. So how do you learn the skill in a way that on day one, you know exactly what to do? Because how you learn is extremely important in determining if you get to know how to do that job or not. So you can't only focus on learning the right skills, you also have to focus on learning those skills right in the right way. Okay, so how do you learn the skills? Very simple. You must learn in a project-based environment. In a project-based environment. And I would explain what a project-based environment simply means. This is where you work on projects that are real-world based, projects that have been solved by real professionals in a real business environment. You work on those same projects and you learn the same experience. You gain the same experience in class. So you're not learning by watching videos. You're not learning by trying to figure things out yourself. You're working on problems that exist or existed in real companies and you solve those same problems. So my experience over the last 12 years as a data analyst, we couch them into case studies. We change the name of the companies, we change the data for data privacy, and you get to work on those type of projects. And that's how we come up with case studies across all our programs. And you learn in a project-based environment. And I'll show you practically what that means. When you learn in a project-based environment, then you'd find yourself transcending sectors. I moved from financial services to the energy sector, and I'll be sharing two people, two amazing professionals who moved from education. The other person moved from operations management, and they both moved into the healthcare sector. One of them in the UK got sponsorship with the NHS, and the other person got a job in the US as a health data reporting analyst, healthcare data reporting analyst. The first person is Mawutin. Mawutin is in the UK, had a BSc in chemistry, and his experience was around operations management. So he was an operations manager back in Nigeria, back in his home country, before he moved to the UK. He joined the Tenalytics data analytics program, and by the time he was done with the program, he landed a job as a pathology data analyst with the NHS on full visa sponsorship. So the big question is, how does an operations manager become a pathology data analyst, something that has to do with healthcare? How did he get that job? Now, here comes the second person, Pavel. Pavel was a teacher back in Cameroon. He worked in education in a high school where he taught students as a teacher before moving to the US. He joined our data analytics program. Shortly after he completed the program, he landed a job as a healthcare data and reporting analyst. Again, the question is, how did a teacher, somebody with experience in education, transition from that into a healthcare data and reporting analyst? That was only possible because of a project-based learning environment. And I'll show you exactly how. Now, when you join any program with us at Tenalytics, you don't learn the tools by learning how to do things with tools. You don't learn formulas, functions in Excel, for example, for the fun of learning formulas and functions. You learn those formulas and functions on how you use them to solve real world problems. How do I use VLOOKUP to solve a real problem? How do I use index and match? How do I use SUMIFs, COUNTIFs to solve real world problems? Okay, so how did Mawutin and Pavel make that transition? So I'm going to share that with you and show you the different projects they had to work on and how they were able to make this pivot. So first things first is you need to be in an environment where you can log in at any time, any day of the week, any time of the day, and you can watch in a self-paced environment, which a lot of people do. They do this with Coursera, they do this with Udemy, and so many other platforms. But guess what? That's one of the worst ways to learn as a beginner, because you find yourself doing 100% self-paced, and then you stumble on a problem and you don't know how to solve that problem. You're stuck with the problem for the next 1 week, the next 2 weeks. And I was there myself when I started. I started, with YouTube and so many other platforms, but I got frustrated. Okay. So you should have a self-paced learning environment. But more importantly, you must have a live instructor-led class. And this is where you have access to experts to work on problems, work on case studies, and solve those project-based case studies with you. And this was what Pavel and Martin did. And that was what enabled them to make that transition. Okay. And this is the best way to learn. And I'll show you exactly what they did. Okay. So let's go to the classroom of, Pavel, Mawutin, what they were able to do and how they were able to make, that switch. Now, one of the things you do, this is what the live classroom environment looks like. Remember, you have two different learning pathways. You have the self-paced 50%, the live 50%. And that's the blended learning approach that you have to adopt. Okay. If you have 100% live class, it becomes boring for you to join live classes every single time. So you must have a balance of the two, the self-paced and also the live class. And I'll show you what they both look like. But this is the live class. So for Pavel and Mawutin, they joined an Excel live class like this in their data analytics program. And the very first case study that they worked on was a case study for a healthcare organization. All right. And we're going to see what this case study looks like. Okay. So they worked on this case study for a healthcare organization where they helped them to streamline their operations. Okay. So this is St. Luke's Hospital. And what you do is to use Excel to help improve the efficiency of this particular hospital. You read about the business introduction, you understand the problem statement. What's the problem this hospital, is facing? They have operational inefficiencies. There is a long queue, long wait times in the emergency room. So you would come in to help them solve the problem, getting their data, analyzing the data, and helping them come up with a solution. All right. You'd read about the rationale for the project and so many other things. And that's what gets you into solving the problem for this particular hospital. You don't have healthcare background, but you're solving a problem for an organization in healthcare. So when you find yourself in an interview, it becomes a lot easier for you to answer questions. It becomes a lot easier for you to relate to the questions that your interviewers would pose to you. Now, when you solve these case studies, it doesn't stop there. You add them to your portfolio. And we're going to get to that. So you work on these case studies in class, and I'll show you what the real life class looks like. So that's the case study. You have a live class. All right. And again, all classes are recorded. For those who missed the class, you can always come back, watch the recording. So at the end of the day, you really don't miss anything. Okay. So you come back, click on the recording, and you'd see that same case study. You walk through that case study with a professional. You have the opportunity to stop and say, I have a question. You've done something. I don't know what you've done. Can you help me? This is what I did and I got an error. Can I share my screen? So you have the opportunity to do all of that. So you find yourself in an environment where you work with a professional and expert, solve that problem, and it becomes part of your work experience. Okay. So that's what your live classroom looks like. Very important for you to learn in a project-based environment. When you're solving problems in a different class, for example, Power BI, the case study is also different. Here you work on a study for an organization in education. Okay. You work for a company. Let me just refresh that. Okay, so let's go back to that case study. So this is a case study different from the health sector. So you move across different projects from the health sector to education and so on and so forth. So this particular case study called Lensfair. Lensfair is an educational technology company. They currently have a problem as well. So you look at the business introduction, you look at their problem statement. They can't track student performance. They don't know how effective their courses are. They also want to improve instructor performance. And remember, these are real world problems. So you solve these problems, and that's what gives you the experience that you need from a project-based perspective. So here you're not learning how to use Excel, but you're solving problems using Excel, using Power BI, and all the tools you'd get to learn in class. And that was what Mawutin and the other gentleman, Pavel, were able to do, moving from healthcare, moving from operations manager, moving from a teacher to becoming a pathology data analyst and also a healthcare data and reporting analyst. And I'm going to share their profiles very quickly, and then we move to the next step. Okay, so let's quickly go to their profiles. Mawutin, fantastic professional, currently works with the NHS, the South Seas Hospital NHS Trust, as a data analyst, a pathology data analyst. That's the actual job title, because I completed Mawutin's reference when the NHS reached out to provide reference for Mawutin. Okay, so you'd see Mawutin. One of the things you'd also see is you both worked at Tenalytics. And I'm going to come back and explain exactly why this is absolutely important for you when making that transition and making that switch. All right. Let's also check out Pavel very quickly. So that Pavel is in the US, in Arizona, Tucson, Arizona. And that's Pavel right there. And one of the things you'd also see when you go to Pavel's profile is you both worked at Tenalytics. Okay. And if you go to his profile, you'd see Tenalytics worked with us as a data analyst and is currently a healthcare data and reporting analyst. Got this job in March 2025, this year. He joined us sometime around, I think, October or September last year. And March this year, he got a job in the healthcare sector. And the way he did it is exactly what I've explained. You can't just learn by watching videos. You have to solve problems within that sector that you're trying to get into. All right. And the opportunity for you to work in a project-based environment where you work across multiple sectors, that gives you the experience that you need. Okay. And we're going to dive into more examples so you have an idea of how these professionals were also able to do it. And we have a fantastic professional. His name is Chukwuebuka. Chukwuebuka was a solutions analyst. All right. And he wanted to move from from a solutions analyst role to a cybersecurity role. Program in September last year. And this year, he landed a job as a operations analyst, and he's in Ireland. Okay, so he joined in September. He tailored his CV. I'm going to speak to that in packaging, tailoring his CV, joining all the mentorship sessions, built a portfolio. He knew where to apply, he knew how to apply. And in July, just last month, he landed a job as a security operations analyst. Chukwuebuka working in a project-based environment enabled him land this job. And I want you to listen to Chukwuebuka yourself. I'm going to play the video. You'd hear what Chukwuebuka has to say. And again, all the links to the videos, the interviews with all these amazing professionals, you have them on the slide. So make sure you fill the attendance so that you have access to these amazing materials. Okay, so let's listen to Chukwuebuka very quickly. And then you hear from Chukwuebuka yourself how he was able to learn in a project-based environment that enabled him land that job in cybersecurity. He joined in September, and by July 2025, he had landed this job in Ireland um, as a cybersecurity analyst. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Chukwuebuka's story.
I'm truly excited to share my experience with analytics. First, I heard about analytics through social media. I kept seeing testimonials of people and posts from people who had like successfully transitioned into like the tech through their programs which they advertise, and that really caught my attention. After doing some research, I decided to join the cybersecurity September cohort. The learning experience was outstanding. The course was hands-on and practical and very relevant to what you could find in the job market. We didn't really just focus on the theory aspect, but we also had to work on like real-life scenarios using tools like Wireshark, Splunk, and that kind of helped me to build my technical skills and experience. Beyond the course itself, the mentorship session where you have like a one-on-ones and the extra support was game changer. Having access to like mentors who are like really involved in the industry and also trying to help out as well, and those kind of created some sort of clarity and decision making, which really helped in my job search as well. I'm very happy to share that more so like a success story. I secured the steps, cybersecurity role with the training, the support I received, and everything. Like Analytics played a huge role in making that dream a possibility. To anyone who is thinking about joining Analytics, do not hesitate. I would suggest you start right away. If you're determined and committed into the learning process, you definitely grow and be able to get to this level that I am in at the moment with their mentorship and the real support which they provide as well. Finally, a big thank you to Toby. Very grateful. She was very helpful. She was our coordinator. She really gave us a lot of insight into learning and growing into analytics and really us in kind of creating like a structure in our mind in the cybersecurity space. I just want to thank everyone. Thank you to Analytics for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
So that's Chukwuebuka. Chukwuebuka joined in September, and you've been listening to him carefully. He mentioned something very profound. We didn't just focus on the theoretical aspect, we worked on real world projects. He learned how to use Wireshark, Splunk, and so many other tools to solve problems. So when he had his interview, he had the opportunity to book an interview preparation session where a professional would join a call with you and help you solve the problems. All right. And that was what Chukwuebuka was able to do. He had experts. He mentioned, thank you very much, Toby. Toby was his class facilitator. She prepared him for his interviews. And today, Chukwuebuka landed a job as a security operations analyst with a company in Ireland. All right. And this was how Chukwuebuka utilized his self-paced class. Like I mentioned, you have your live classes and you also have the self-paced. So for anybody who's registered, you have access to a dashboard. Your dashboard is where you have access to your materials, your self-paced materials, any day, anytime. Okay. So for somebody like Chukwuebuka who was in cybersecurity, all he needed to do is log into his platform any day on a Sunday, on a Monday, on a Tuesday. He wants to learn one or two things. All right. Just come in here, click on continue learning, and you have access to all your videos. Okay. You want to learn introduction to networking, for example, cybersecurity basics. You want to know what the CIA triad is all about. You come in here, click on that. Okay. You click on the CIA triad and it takes you to that particular class. I think I'm just having a bit of issues. Okay. Having a bit of issues with my network or something. I'll see if I can fix that right away. Okay, so you want to learn about the CIA triad. All you have to do is come in here, play your video, watch how a professional would walk you through all the different concepts, and you have good understanding of exactly how to utilize the technologies and how to solve the problem. That is Toby right there, the same Toby that helped Chukwuebuka land the job. That's Toby who is going to teach you different things, confidentiality, protecting sensitive information, and so on and so forth. All right. And this is how you learn using the self-paced watch me do it videos that you have on the learning management system. Okay. Now, when Chukwuebuka had an interview, all he had to do was go to his dashboard and click on interview prep, schedule appointment. Okay. So clicking on schedule appointment, you come in here, select the program, cybersecurity, detail job, the link to the job, the interview stage. Are you level, second level, third level, final level? Select that. Upload the CV that you used to apply, and of course, select the date you want to be prepared for your interview. Okay, select that date, and then you get to book an interview prep session, which was what Chukwuebuka did. He booked his interview prep sessions and he had multiple interview preps, and that enabled him land the job. So remember, when you select a career path, which is the first thing you have to do, high demand career path, you've taken a methodical, research-based approach. You know you want to do cybersecurity, data analytics, business analysis. How you learn that skill now becomes the next important thing for you to do. You learn in a self-paced environment. You learn in a live instructor-led class. And more importantly, in your live instructor-led classes, you have project-based case studies that helps you build experience. You take that experience and you put it in a portfolio. And I'll show you what a portfolio looks like in the next few slides. All right. Once you do the first two, the second is I don't have experience, okay? Yes, I've worked on projects, but how do I gain the experience that I need to showcase to employers that I'm the best person for the job? And before we get into that, I want to ask this question, okay? You want to buy a couch, you just bought a new home, or you just rented a new house, and you want to buy a couch for your living room. You're considering two people. The first person, Carpenter A, has a certificate to show that he's gone to carpentry school. And the second person has a showroom. Carpenter B has a showroom. You can walk into that showroom. You can see the different couches. You can touch, feel the quality of the couch. Which of these two carpenters would you trust to make your couch? Carpenter A, who has a certificate, or Carpenter B, who has a showroom? So just type A or B in the chat. Type A or B. Festus says B. Prince says trusting B. Kelvin says B. Grace says B. Absolutely fantastic. And the reason why you chose B is simply because Carpenter B has evidence that they've done the job. They know how to construct a couch. You're not doubting, but a lot of people, a lot of professionals would position themselves as Carpenter A. No evidence, no experience that you can do the job. But what you need to do is have a showroom where you can warehouse, showcase what you've done before as evidence that you can do the job for that new employer. All right. So, and that's what you have to do when it comes to work experience. Employers want to know that you can do the job. They want to know that you have the experience to do the job for them. So show them what they want and give them what they want. And remember, it is always competence over credentials. You show them you have the skills. You also need to show them that you have the experience because you've done it before. Okay. So in showing that you have the experience, you must build a portfolio. I've talked about portfolio so many times. So when you learn in class, you work on projects, you solve those projects, those real world case studies, they don't go to waste. They go into your portfolio. Your portfolio is your showroom, like Carpenter B. Employers can go into your portfolio, they can see what you've done, and they know how good you are. So I can identify that Festus is the right person for that job because Festus has evidence that they've done that job before. Okay. And apart from the project you complete in class, you also have access to internship. Every single program has 2 months internship. You join data analytics. After your learning, you have 2 months internship. Cybersecurity, 2 months internship. And your internship is done with a sister company, Amdari, and Amdari operates London in the UK and also Alberta in Canada. So you can list on your CV And you can also list on your LinkedIn that you have experience, not just with analytics, but also with Amdari. And this gives you access and showcases to potential employers that you are doing the job so you can do it for them. Okay, so there are so many portfolios right here. I'm just going to click on one to show you how you can utilize your portfolio as evidence that you can do the job. So this is Victor. Victor is a data scientist. He has his portfolio right here. I'm going to click on Victoria's portfolio. Let's have a look at this very quickly. Okay, so when you join any of the programs, you build a portfolio. Your portfolio is your showroom, just like Carpenter B. We all agreed that Carpenter B is the right person to do the job because Carpenter B has done the job before. So Carpenter B has evidence that he can do it. This is your own showroom where you have evidence that you can do the job. So this is Victoria, and this is our data analytics portfolio. Okay, so remember, you worked on a healthcare project in class. What happens to that project? It gets into your portfolio. So this is a project Victoria completed in the healthcare space where she worked on this project, the emergency room, to help them reduce the patient wait time. And she was able to achieve 15% reduction in patient wait time and also increase the patient's satisfaction rating by 20%. But how did she do this? Let's see. How did she solve this problem? What tool or what technology did she utilize in solving the problem? So we're going to see what it looks like. So for an employer who is looking for somebody who knows how to use Tableau, Victoria has just solved a healthcare related problem. So imagine Victoria applied to the NHS. She wants to get sponsorship, and the NHS is recruiting for an information analyst, a pathology data analyst like Mawutin. And the requirement is you must know Excel, you must know Tableau, you must know Power BI. Guess what? This is a Tableau dashboard for a healthcare related organization. And I can speak to you the number of patients, the average age. I can talk about the different periods during the year where you have high number of patient visits and so on. And how do you ensure that you make resources available based on specific periods during the month or during the year to ensure that you're able to reduce the patient wait time? And that was what Victoria did by solving this problem. And to make it even more exciting, it is interactive. So if I click on this, it deselects everything, it becomes blank. I want to see data for only Q1. I can click on Q1 and data for only Q1 would appear. So anybody who wants to hire someone that knows how to use Tableau, they can rest assured that Victoria has the experience because she has done it before. And that's why, like Carpenter B, who has a showroom, you must have a portfolio of all your projects. This is your own showroom, all right? If you scroll down, you'd see projects around aviation using Excel, logistics related projects using Tableau, Nestle product analytics using Power BI, you know, electronics, FMCG, and so on and so forth, using SQL and so many projects. Okay, so this is one example of Victoria. And remember, when you've worked on all those numerous projects in class, you've joined the internship for 2 months, and you've worked on projects during your internship, you must have evidence that you've done all those things. If not, just like that carpenter that has the certificate, you'd keep on explaining how good you are, but nobody knows and nobody cares about your certification. They don't care about your credentials. It is competence over credentials. Okay. And that's how, for somebody like Hope had all the necessary certification. She had certificates in project management. She had certificates in Scrum Master, but she couldn't land a job. She moved from Nigeria, she moved to Canada, and she wanted to land a job as a project manager, but she couldn't because all she was doing at different points in time was to showcase that she had a PMP, she had a Scrum Master certification. When employers wanted to know, what have you done before? Okay, how good are you? Where is the evidence for what you've done? There was no portfolio. There was nothing that could showcase that. So Hope joined us September 2024, last year. And the same period, 3 months after, in December, she landed a job with Visman in Waterloo, Ontario, as a project analyst. Six figures. There's a link to, Hope talking about how she was able to land that job. Very, very important. And this is a, perfect case of all your certifications, all your credentials means nothing. If employers don't know that you have the experience, you've done it before, and showcase to them that you can do that job, you would struggle to land the job. Okay, so I'm going to play the video of Hope. Let's listen to Hope very quickly. It's a 2 minutes video. You listen to her. Again, all the links to all the amazing professionals I'll be sharing today are all available. Make sure you fill the attendance form so you have access to all the recording. Okay, so I'm going to play Hope's video. We're going to listen to Hope very quickly. Hope had all the certifications, but she couldn't land the job. So how did she do it? Let's hear from her.
Land my first project management job in Canada, and I'm really grateful for it. Of course, it's a six-figure job, and I appreciate the fact that they had a great impact in me landing that job. Hello, my name is Hope Atoye. I am an alumni of Tanalytics. I joined the 2024 September cohort class for Agile Project Management. Prior to joining this cohort, I had a certificate in project management, and I had written the PMP, and I'd also written the Scrum Master certification, which I passed both, but I still needed to land a project management role in Canada. Prior to when I moved to Canada, I had an experience with managing projects and handling agile projects in Nigeria. But moving to Canada, I hadn't gathered enough experience in the project space, so I needed to break into that space. Tanalytics was recommended to me, and I tried it. I had a focus of what I wanted, and they helped me achieve that. I joined the class. It was very interactive. It was very educative. I increased what I knew prior to joining the class, and I learned new things as well. I would definitely recommend Tanalytics to anyone who is looking to break into a new field or change career path. I think Tanalytics is where you should be. You should register with them. They would help you with your post-registration, ongoing classes, getting a job, interview processes and all that. While on the project, while in the class, I applied to a couple of jobs, and Tanalytics helped me with my interview preparation, giving me tips, organizing mock interview sessions as well, and it helped me land my first project management job in Canada, and I'm really grateful for it. Of course, it's a six-figure job, and I appreciate the fact that they had a great impact in me landing that job. I will recommend Tanalytics to anyone who is looking to change career path, and they would help you through the process before, during, and even after you land a job. They're willing to help you answer questions, guide you through, help you settle in your new role as well. Thank you very much, Tanalytics. I really appreciate your help in my career growth, and I hope that anyone who is looking to make an impact in their careers or change career path are looking to work with Tanalytics, because they're one educational agency I would recommend to anyone. Thank you very much, Tanalytics.
So that's Hope. Again, Hope knew that it was competence over credentials. So she joined us. We helped her repackage the way she presented herself during interviews. She built a portfolio, and within 3 months, because she had experience in project management, she landed that job in Waterloo, Ontario. Let's see if we can get into Hope's profile very quickly. Hope. So that's Hope right there. Okay, so that's Hope. And again, you'd also see you worked at Tanalytics. And the beauty about this, when you have experience, like I mentioned, you can list two experience from your internship with Amdari and also your work with Tanalytics. So when you join us, you don't join us as a trainee, you join us as a contractor, you join us as a consultant. So you can list that as part of your work experience. All right. So you'd see this was the job she got in December. She's still on that job with Visman Climate Solutions. in Waterloo, Ontario. And of course, you'd see Agile Project Manager with Tenalytics. Because organizations would come back to say, hey, we need a reference that Hope can do all the things she says she can do. All right. And you also need a reputable organization that can vouch for the skills that you have. And that's where we come in. All right. You have somebody like Ramat. Ramat was a customer service rep in the UK working for British Gas in the UK. She joined our business analysis program. And by the time, before she even wrapped up her program, she secured a job as a business architect with the NHS, also on full visa sponsorship. All right. And that's Ramat's story, from customer service to business analyst. And she also got what? Sponsorship. Amazing, amazing professional as a business architect. All right. We had a full interview with Ramat. It's a long interview, and I would implore anybody who wants to also make a transition to listen to Ramat, because she shared so much during that interview. All right. So the last part of today's session, whereby we've talked about three important things that I said I was going to show you today. The first is how to select the right career path. The second is, after selecting the right career path, how best do you learn the skills so that you know how to do the job on day one? So now you know that you must learn in a project-based environment. You also know that you must not only focus on self-paced, you must have self-paced and a live instructor-led class, so that you have the opportunity to get clarity, to get guidance, directions, troubleshooting from real-world professionals. When you do that, you must also have evidence that you can do that job by building a portfolio. Okay. And finally, this is where you've done all those things. It's time for you to start applying to jobs. Okay. And you apply to jobs like your life depends on it, because it actually does depend on it. And what we always advise is tailor every single application. Never reuse a CV. Don't use one CV twice. Okay, you ensure that you take one CV for one application. So we show you how to tailor every single application. All right. And you need to also know the number of applications to put out per day, because on the average, it takes about 267 quality job applications to land an offer. So if you know that I need to apply to 267 quality applications, not easy apply, on read.co.uk or on LinkedIn, you are taking the job description, you are taking your CV, and you tailor your CV to that job description, and then you put in your application. You need 267. So it's easy for you to identify the number of jobs to apply to per day, per week, and even per month. We always tell you apply to nothing less than 10 applications per day. And of course, how to tap into the paid and the hidden job market. So for a lot of people, and I say this all the time, if you only focus on applying on conventional job boards, you apply only on LinkedIn, only on CV Library, read.co.uk, and so on and so forth, you'd find yourself applying to jobs that everybody else is applying to. And when you do that, you limit the chances of you landing interviews. So what we do at Tenalytics is we pay to those job boards. We subscribe and pay to job boards, because job seekers usually would not pay. So for those looking for sponsorship, for example, you're in the UK looking for sponsorship, we use different platforms that are paid, exclusive jobs that come with sponsorship, and then we send them to you every single week. So every week we send you these jobs, and you have the opportunity to apply to these jobs from your classroom. And I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. So you go to your classroom, right at the top, you'd see where you have your important materials. Okay, you see where you have your important materials. And if you scroll all the way down, you see where you have your job offers. Okay, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. You'd see your job offers. If you go to the job offer, you click on that link, it takes you to the jobs that we have scraped for you every single week. You have the opportunity to apply to those jobs. You'd see the ones that come with sponsorship as well. Does it come with sponsorship? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so we script those jobs, we send them to you every single week, week in, week out. Jobs in the UK, jobs in the US, jobs in Canada, jobs in Nigeria, and you have access to apply to these jobs. Okay, and these are jobs that your contemporaries don't have access to. So you have exclusive access, and this gives you a higher chance of landing an interview. And when you land an interview, what happens? You have the opportunity to book an interview prep. A professional works with you, and that gives you an increased chance of landing the job. Okay, so everything we've talked about today, the three things you would need to learn to make that transition or that you need to know can be summarized into learn. Learn is where you select the career path you're interested in, select one and focus. Then you have to package yourself. Packaging is where you present and position yourself as the best candidate for the job. All right. So we help you with your CV. We revamp your CV for you. Okay, we revamp it and then we show you how to tailor that CV. So we do that for you the first time. You have the perfect keyword optimized ATS friendly CV, and we show you how to tailor that CV. Okay, we optimize your LinkedIn profile. We show you how to build a portfolio and put all those projects into that portfolio. You have your mentorship sessions every Thursdays where you have the co-founder, the founder, myself, the founder, the co-founder, and other industry experts who would hold your hands and help you transition. Your interview prep, if you have an interview, you don't need to go to YouTube to try to figure things out. You book an interview prep with a professional who would walk you through every single thing. You rehearse, you have a mock session, they ask you questions. Based on your response, you have a feedback on what you need to prepare a little bit better on, and you go in there and you smash the interview and land the job. When you get a job and you need a reference, because any employer in the US, in the UK, Canada, anywhere would want you to provide a reputable organization that can vouch for the skills and the experience that you say you have. Right. And that's where we also come in. When you land that job and you get a project that seems a bit more difficult than you anticipated, then Tenalytics is also there to work with you for 1 month to ensure you have a soft landing, solid footing on that job. And finally, apply. This is where you apply like a machine, but with precision. So you're not just throwing things on the wall and expecting one to stick. You know that you have to tailor every application, you know the number of jobs to apply to, and you have access to exclusive jobs that we make available to you. Okay. And like I showed you earlier, you have all of that in your live classroom. So how to tailor your CV, you have that right here. You click on this and you see exactly what to do step by step. It's a practical step. I created that session for you to watch and see how to tailor your CV. Okay, you upload your CV right here. We revamp the CV for you. We send it back to you, and you learn how to tailor and start putting out your applications. Okay. You can also book your interview prep from your live classroom, or you can go to your dashboard and book your interview prep from the dashboard in your LMS. Okay. You have access to your mentorship sessions, how to navigate the job markets, the sit and the start approach. We have interview simulations, how to succeed as a tech professional. So this is where we bring in other professionals. We bring in alumni that have gone through our program, gotten success, and we bring them back to walk you through. And something very important we call the drop-in session. So for any reason you've missed a class on Saturday because you have some sort of emergency, you couldn't join the class on that Saturday, every single week during the week, we have something called the makeup class. It's a drop-in session where you join a session with a few people, sometimes 3, 4, 5, depending, and the facilitator, your trainer, would walk you through what happened in class on that Saturday. So you're brought up to speed and you don't go into the next classroom on Saturday confused of not knowing what happened the previous class. So every single thing, you do that during the drop-in session. So nobody is left behind. Nobody gets confused from a previous session because they missed that session. You have the opportunity to join the drop-in session. You have your Upwork optimization, which is part of your employability session. And these are the things that positions you to ensure that you land the job. And that was exactly what Sharon did. Sharon was a healthcare professional. She was a healthcare worker. She worked as a healthcare assistant with one of the NHS trusts. But she wanted to move from healthcare. She was on sponsorship. She had sponsorship from the NHS, but she wanted to move from that role to a new role. So she joined us, joined our business analysis program this year in March. She joined us in March this year. She did all the things, packaged, tailored her CV. We showed her exactly what to do. She got strategies on how to apply to internally available roles within the NHS. She applied. When she did, she got access to numerous interview prep. What strategies can you utilize to ensure that you can move from your current role to the new role without losing your sponsorship? And in May this year, just about 3 months after she joined, she landed a job still with the same NHS trusts, but this time around, she moved from a healthcare assistant to a business data analyst, and she still kept her sponsorship with that same NHS trust. And that's Sharon's story. No background, no knowledge. She moved from a healthcare assistant to a business data analyst. Then you have Christian. And I want everybody to go read about Christian's story. He actually made a post about his story. This is Christian. He got a job at the age of 18. Unbelievable. At the age of 18, as a data processor and analyst. And let me tell you a bit about Christian's story. So Christian, of course, at the age of 18, could not afford to join any of our programs. All right. But his brother joined. His brother joined a session like this, and his brother felt that, oh, I think my younger brother can actually benefit. I didn't have the opportunity to start early. Let me register my brother. So he registered his brother with us in our data analytics program September last year. And sometime this year, Christian landed a job with Market Trends International as a data processor and analyst. All right. All the things I've mentioned, from how to learn to packaging, building a portfolio, to applying to jobs, getting interview preparation. And in July, just last month, he landed his job and he made a post about it. And I kept the link here to Christian's post. And I'm going to show you that post. And I want you to read it. For those who think it's too early for me to start or it's too late for me to start, I want you to go back to Christian's story, read about how Christian started and where he is today. All right. So if we click on that link, it takes you to the post. Okay. So the post is on my slide. I kept that right there. So make sure you fill the attendance. You have access to all these amazing links. So this is Christian Adeshola against the odds, landing a tech role at 18. Okay. So he talked about everything. Okay. I'm grateful to my own journey, how it began with a seed of belief planted by my elder brother. In September 2024, I was only 17 at that time. My elder brother did what? Encouraged me to aim high. He saw the potential in me and paid for a data analytics training at Tenalytics. Okay, he talked about how we learned Excel, learned SQL, learned Power BI, learned Tableau, and so on. And it's an amazing read. Okay, and eventually that's his job offer. Okay, offer of employment. And of course, if you go to Christian's profile, you see where he also clearly indicated, his new job. But it's important for you to read that and understand and see how Christian was able to make that transition, right? And again, of course, you'd see he listed analytics as part of his experience, like we always advise. He started his job just last month in July as a data processor. Okay. Now, very importantly, At the age of 18, Christian also had a portfolio. And that's why it's important, because any employer would want to, assess you. Do you really have the experience? Have you done this before? How am I sure you can do it for me? He has a portfolio. If we click on Christian's portfolio, it takes you to the work he has completed over time. Just like I explained earlier, you must have evidence, just like that carpenter that has a showroom. Okay, so this is Christian's portfolio. You can see the different projects: Flex Trade, User Behavior Tracker, Tektronix Innovations, all the projects he completed in class, every single project, Hospital Transaction Dashboard, every single project he completed, he uploaded them to his portfolio. If you click on this, for example, it takes you to the project he completed within the healthcare space, and you can click on any of the screenshots, okay, and you can see what Christian was able to build using Power BI. And any employer that sees this would have no doubts that Christian has the skills to do the job. Okay. And that was how Christian was able to get this job at the age of 18. And so many other professionals. You have Abednego. Abednego is in Canada. He got a job as a quality improvement analyst with the city of Winnipeg. He joined our data analytics program in August last year. And by this year, June 2025, just about 2 months ago, he landed his job with the city of Winnipeg as a quality improvement analyst, and so many other professionals. Gad was a student in the UK. He became a data engineer with the NHS just after graduation. And he joined a data engineering program. During his master, realized he needed more to land a job. He joined our data engineering program. He joined us, completed his program in July last year. He did all the things we always advise to do, tailor his CV. He has a portfolio. The link to his portfolio is right here. And applied. He knew where to apply. He knew how to apply. He applied to the jobs that we sent to the classroom, that we script for jobs that come with sponsorship. And he applied. And in January this year, Gad was able to land a job with the NHS as a data warehouse and ETL developer. And his job came with full visa sponsorship. All right. So for those who want to get into data engineering, for example, Gad is a very good model that you can follow. Immediately, Gad started his journey with us. All the things we advised to do: document, build in public, share and showcase your experience on LinkedIn. He did all of that. Okay. And January this year, he got a job as a data warehouse and ETL developer with the NHS on full visa sponsorship. And of course, you can see his experience with us, Azure Data Engineer. And that was Gad's reference. I completed his reference when the NHS reached out. Mr. Geza Suleiman, you provide a reference for Gad. Fill this form, and I completed Gad's reference. And this is what a reference looks like typically. This was sent October last year, 25th of October, 2024. Completed a reference, and Gad resumed in January 2025. All right. So for anybody who wants to make the transition, the process is very straightforward. And all you have to do is replicate the same strategies. Always identify the right skills, learn the right way in a project-based environment, also learn in a self-paced and a live instructor-led class. As you work on real-world projects, build a portfolio to showcase your experience. Just like Christian, who got a job at the age of 18. He got that job because he could show that he had the experience to do the job because he had done it before. You need to know where to apply. You need to have access to exclusive jobs that other professionals don't have access to. And when you have all of these, professionals that can prepare you for interviews, mentors that can guide you to shorten your learning journey so you don't make the mistakes they made and you know exactly what to do, that's what gets you the job at the end of the day. So as a data engineer, what do you learn? Like God, What do you learn? What tools and technologies? As a data analyst, what tools and technologies must you learn? As a business analyst, I'm going to walk you through that the next 10 minutes, tell you what it takes to get started with our next cohort, and then I'll take Q&A, take questions from you, and then we call it a day. All right. So what skills must you learn as a business analyst, for example? As a business analyst, and I've seen this happen too many times, business analysts that don't know how to use Excel, Power BI, or SQL. If you don't know how to do this, you will struggle to land a job in 2025 and beyond as a business analyst. So you must learn Excel, you must learn Power BI, you must learn SQL. Then you move to process mapping, project initiation and planning, Agile and Scrum for projects, the software development lifecycle, requirement fundamentals, elicitation, stakeholder analysis and engagement, and Chat GPT for analysis. All right, very important. You'd learn how to use Lucidchart, Draw.io to map out processes. You'd learn how to track project deliverables, manage team members' tasks using Jira, using Trello, collaborate using Confluence, implement the agile methodology for projects using Azure DevOps, and so on and so forth. All right. So as a business analyst, these are your key learning areas. If you miss out on one of them, you will struggle to land a job. Then you have the agile project manager. Okay, so you must understand the different project management methodologies, the waterfall methodology, the agile methodology, and then the hybrid, which is a combination of agile and waterfall, the wagile. Okay, so as you have agile, you have waterfall, you have wagile, which is a hybrid. You must understand all these different methodologies. Then you learn communication skills in project management, Agile and Scrum, the Scrum framework, the Scrum artifacts, your product backlog, your increments, your sprints, the Agile ceremonies, and so on and so forth. You learn advanced Scrum and Agile practices. You learn how to use Jira and Confluence end to end in the use of projects, the workflow management using the Kanban boards. You learn the different charts, the velocity, the burn down charts, the burn up charts, the real world application and leadership in project management, Nexus skilled Scrum. And of course, we also help you prepare for the Scrum Master examination. Because the beauty about Agile project management, the Agile methodology comprises of different frameworks, including the Scrum framework. So you learn Scrum as an Agile project manager. You learn Kanban as an Agile project manager. So you can land a job as a Scrum Master. You can get a job as an Agile coach, and so on and so forth. Okay, the Scrum Master examination. So as you're applying to project analyst, project management roles, you can also apply to Agile coach, Scrum Master roles, and so on. All right. And of course, the timeline, Saturdays is when you have your live classes. Okay. If you're in the UK, your class is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. If you're in the US, Canada, you have a class for your time zone, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So you won't be in the UK and joining classes at odd hours. All right. And the beauty for those in the UK is if you're not available in the morning from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., you can join the class for those in the US, those in Canada, in North America, which would roughly be 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. your time. So you have that flexibility as well. And every other day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, any day, you can log into the LMS, watch your videos at your own convenience. Right? The total duration of your program is for 8 months, 6 months in class, and 2 months internship. The internship, if you remember, is part of the ways you build your work experience. As a business analyst, you work with a data analyst, you work with a software developer to solve a real problem. You work in a cross-functional team. You gain cross-functional experience, interpersonal skills, and so on, because this is the exact way you would work in the real world of work. You don't work in silos. All right. So, and this is not your become a business analyst in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. No, 6 months learning, you have all the time to learn all the technologies, the techniques, the frameworks, and then you join your 2 months internship. But the beauty about the program again is just like the lady who was in healthcare, Sharon, who moved from a healthcare assistant to a business data analyst. She did that within 3 months. She didn't have to complete the program. And those are the opportunities you also stand to get. So you'd find organizations that have specific requirements, and you might have just learned those requirements within the first 3 months. So typically, after 3 months, we start encouraging you to apply to jobs. By then, we would have worked on your CV, we would have shown you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, and we start to push you during your mentorship sessions to apply to jobs. Because from 3 months, 4 months, you stand a chance of landing a job. So we show you how to search for those jobs that you have the opportunities to get. Okay. For the data engineer, you start with introduction to data engineering. You learn SQL, structured query language. You learn Python programming to build your ETL pipelines. You learn Linux for your bash scripting. You learn how to get data from different sources, from databases, from APIs, learn how to scrape the web for data. You'd learn Apache Spark and Airflow for your data pipeline automation, your data pipeline orchestration and scheduling. You'd learn cloud engineering using Google Cloud Platform, GCP, and Microsoft Azure. You'd learn version control with GitHub and AI for data engineering using ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot. And as a data scientist, very important, a lot of people start from the top rather than starting from the foundation when learning data science. They start with Python rather than starting with the fundamentals. As a data scientist, you must start with statistics, which is the foundation of machine learning, data science, and this gives you the solid footing on how to understand and build machine learning models in the future. All right. You'd learn predictive analytics using Excel, Tableau for data analytics. You'd also learn SQL, structured query language. You'd learn Python for your exploratory data analysis, machine learning, computer vision, version control with GitHub. You'd learn AI for the data scientist using GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT. And of course, you'd learn Microsoft Fabric for data analytics as a data scientist. Then you move to the data analyst role. You start with problem solving. Again, a lot of people start learning data analytics by starting with Excel. So you start learning the tools, but no, you need to know how to solve problems, get to the root cause of the problem. You do a root cause analysis using techniques like the 5 whys. You learn the McKinsey-Mason model, prioritization matrix, and so on, the CRISP-DM framework for solving data-related problems. And you learn all of that under where? Problem solving. Then you move into Excel, SQL, structured query language, Power BI for your data visualization, your business intelligence, Tableau for your business intelligence, your data visualization. You learn data storytelling, AI for data analytics using ChatGPT, and then Microsoft's Fabric, right? And of course, the timeline is similar: 6 months learning, 2 months internship. And you have classes tailored irrespective of your time zone. If you're in the UK, you are in Nigeria, you are in West Africa, you are in Europe, you have similar time zones, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you're in the US, North America, in Canada, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Saturdays. Every other day, you have access to the LMS. Then you have the financial analyst and the HR analyst. The financial analyst and the HR analyst are both data analysts. The financial analyst is just specialized on analyzing financial data, while the HR analyst is specialized on analyzing people data and HR data. But they are both data analysts. And that's why you'd see that they learn the same technologies, from problem solving to Excel to Power BI and SQL. The HR analyst would also learn problem solving, Excel, Power BI, and SQL. But for the financial analyst, you then dive deeper into financial analysis, accounting fundamentals, financial modeling, valuation, sensitivity and scenario analysis, and ChatGPT for financial analytics. While the HR analyst would double down on the HR metrics, okay, the HR metrics, the HR specific areas, including HR analytics and performance evaluation, HR metrics and life cycle, analysis and dashboarding with HR, and of course, collaboration and report automation, building your case and creating action, and charts GPT for analytics. So here you'd learn how to build HR dashboards, analyze HR related data using different tools and technologies. So you're both data analysts. The difference is one is specialized in finance, the other one is specialized in HR. And again, you don't need any prior experience to get into any of these areas. Everything you need, you learn them in class. Okay, 6 months learning in class and then 2 months internship. And finally, you have the cybersecurity program. Here you learn overview. This was what Chukwuebuka did. He started with the overview of cybersecurity, the roles and technologies. He learned the information security principles, risk management, the SOC roles, SOC roles, the Security Operations Center roles and responsibilities, network security, threat intelligence, threat detection and response, incident response, open source intelligence, malware analysis, threat actor profiling, and of course, network reconnaissance, vulnerability scanning, vulnerability testing, and so on and so forth. You learn governance and compliance frameworks. Okay, compliance audits, policy development, security awareness training, and reporting. Now, when Chukwuebuka completed cybersecurity, he got a job as a security operations analyst. Okay, and the reason this was possible is simply because of SOC. So when you join our cybersecurity program, there are 3 key specializations. SOC, the SOC analyst, which is a Security Operations Center analyst. That's one specialization. So that was what Chukwuebuka specialized in, and he was able to land a job as a Security Operations Analyst. The second specialization is on ethical hacking or penetration testing. And of course, you have governance, risk, and compliance analysts, GRC. So these are the 3 specializations. So you'd learn the key learning areas, and during your internship, you specialize either on the Security Operations Center analyst, you specialize in ethical hacking or governance, risk, and compliance. Okay, so Chukwuebuka chose SOC, and that was why he got a job as a security operations analyst. And there's so many other areas within that same space. Again, if you listen to Chukwuebuka, he talked about Wireshark, he talked about Splunk as some of the tools that he learned when working on real-world projects that enabled him perform well during his interview and eventually land that job. All right. So 6 months learning, 2 months internship. You have enough time to gain all the skills, work on projects, work in a cross-functional environment, and eventually land that job. There are so many other success stories. I'm not going to bore you with all these success stories. I'm going to take you to how to get started. But if you've gotten value for your time so far, just type in a yes into the charts. Israel, I'm going to get to the fees right now in the next 2 minutes. Just type in a yes in the chat if you've gotten value for your time so far. So now you start to know what to do. When trying to search for a job, trying to get a new job, if you've been applying wrongly before, if you've been preparing for your interviews wrongly, now you know exactly what you have to do. All right. So this is Amaka. Amaka was in Saskatchewan in Canada. She was out of work for 6 months. She couldn't land interviews. She couldn't get a job. She joined our HR analytics program in July 2024. And by December that same year in 2024, she landed a job with Sask Energy in Saskatchewan as a HR data analyst. And the beauty about Amaka's story was she applied to one of the jobs that we script and we sent to to her group, and she mentioned that in her chat with her class coordinator, she's saying that I have an interview with Sask Energy for HR data analyst role, one of the jobs you posted. Okay, so that was how she got that opportunity and she was able to land that job. So she got into the new year 2025 with a new role as a HR data analyst because she got the job in December, but she started in January. And you have Ikmat. Ikmat was a stay-at-home mom in the UK. She currently works as a data analyst with the NHS. She was at home for 2 years taking care of her kids. She was a stay-at-home mom, but she wanted more. She joined our data analytics program. She wanted sponsorship as well. And in January last year, she landed a job with the NHS as an information analyst. Information analyst. Okay. She did data analytics, but she got a job as an information analyst with the NHS, with the Sussex Community Foundation Trust. We did an amazing interview with her. It would be nice for you to listen to that. Okay. She also got full visa sponsorship. And she got the job 1 month before she even completed her program. You have Judith. Judith was a carer. She went to school to drop her daughter off at school, and she met a friend. Her friend had just completed our program and just got a job as a data analyst. And Judith was complaining that I need a job. I need to land a job. And her friend said, hey, why not try these guys? I just completed my program. I got a job. So try them out. I did data analytics. I'm not sure if you'd want to do the same. Judith didn't do data analytics. She registered for business analysis. Okay. She had a background in HR back in Nigeria. She was a carer while she was in the UK. She joined our business analysis program last year, March 2024. And 3 months after, in July, she landed a job. Now, because Judith already had sponsorship, she was not sponsorship, I beg your pardon. She already had her ILR, her indefinite leave to remain. She just wanted a better job. She got a job with a company in the US, even though she lived and worked from the UK. And that's simply because the US would pay a lot more compared to, UK companies. So she was earning far beyond what she would have earned working in that same role with a similar company in the UK. So she works remotely from the UK for that company in the US. Again, we had an interview with Judith. You might want to listen to that as well. Fantastic professional. Then you have Pavel. You've heard about Pavel's story, the teacher in Cameroon who became a healthcare reporting analyst. This is Ene. Ene is also in the UK. She joined us, completed her program with us in December last year. And April this year, she landed a job as a data scientist with a company in Germany. So she works remotely with a company in Germany, and you have Ene's reference. Okay. This was when they sent the reference. I completed the reference, and this was a confirmation on the completed reference, and so many other professionals. Lois was an accountant. She's now a project manager. Oluwadamilare had no experience. He is now a sustainability data analyst. Sonia currently works as a HR analyst with British American Tobacco in the UK. Idris joined our data engineering program. No experience, no background. He got a job with Jaguar Land Rover in Coventry as a data engineer. He moved from that role to a new company called QuantSpark in London as a senior analytics engineer. You have Chika, who is a financial analyst also in the UK, and so many other professionals. Benga is in Poland. He came to us, he landed a job as a business data analyst. Olugbemi left Nigeria to Canada. He didn't want to come to work in marketing. He didn't want to work in a menial job. He joined our data analytics program. And just three months after moving to Canada from Nigeria, and after completing our program, he landed his first job as a business data analyst with a law depot in Canada. He moved from that role. He got a job with Wawanesa Insurance as a solutions analyst. Today, we bring Olugbemi to come speak to other learners who are trying to get jobs as well, because he has been so successful doing a tremendous job. But again, his journey also started from a class like this. He decided to start, he registered, I personally prepared him for his interviews. If you listen to Olugbemi, he spoke a lot about that. I prepared him for his case studies, prepared him for his interviews, and eventually he landed that job. And there are so many other professionals like that, okay? This gentleman got a job in cybersecurity, moved from customer service to a job in tech, and so many other professionals. Okay, so you're going to have my slide. You can always look at these amazing people, learn about their story. Oyefikayo was in finance. She joined our data science program. She got a job as a business intelligence analyst here in Canada after completing from finance, no knowledge in data science. Okay, and I've gotten so many questions. Can I get a job in Nigeria? Or can I work from Nigeria and work for companies abroad working remotely? Zainab joined us. She used to work in the banking industry. She moved from banking. Today, Zainab works with a company in Nigeria called Shortree Connect. And I can't tell you how much Zainab earns. A lot of people wouldn't believe. It's absolutely, absolutely amazing. She's done fantastically well for herself. And this is somebody who had over 12 years in banking. All right. But I want you to listen to Zainab yourself. It was just for a few seconds. She spoke in a session. So we clipped that part because it serves as a source of inspiration to anybody who wants to start. And once you listen to Zainab, we'll go into what it takes to start any of our programs. And then I'll take your questions. All right. So let's listen to Zainab very quickly.
Like you said, my name is Zainab. Educational background, I have a background in economics and finance. I worked immediately after university. I got into the banking space. I did banking for about 12 years. I moved around the bank from retail to corporate operations. I was just around the bank. Sometime in 2023, 2023, I just got tired of vanilla banking and I wanted to do something else. Instagram. I think I didn't join a masterclass in 2022, one random day. But in March of 2023, I quit my banking job because I was done, right? I think it was the night of my send forth. I was heading home and I wasn't sure what I was going to do next. Or I knew I wasn't banking, whatever it was. I was done with Nigerian banks. I was just tired. And scrolling through Instagram, I saw a post on Tenalytics, women in tech, something, and I think there was a discount. And I just rushed and filled the form. I was like, I don't have more. I don't know when my next salary is going to come. Let me just use the salary I collected this month to quickly sign up for this stuff and just start. So I paid for it. Even when I was filling the form, then I still wasn't sure data or business. Let me not go and fill for data analysis, and I realized I hate it. Then I'll not say, please, can I go to business? But I don't have money to pay for it. So I was still not sure what I was doing then, but I knew it was what I needed to do at that point. So I just went with data analysis. I clicked it. I filled the form, and that was the beginning of my life. My life changed that night because when I was in the bank, I always felt I didn't take a course, I need to do a training, but I just never did it. There was always something more important that contributed a lot to my growth is the community in Tenalytics. People in my group have some jobs now. There was a bit of wait time, but now at least in my group we're about 8,
about three of us are working any like cool cash.
Okay, so that's Zainab. I'm just going to take you to Zainab's profile. We'll come back and then we wrap up our session. So Zainab, just like, so many people, so many of you, she had no experience. She had no background. She'd worked in the bank for years. But what did she do? She wanted to make a pivot. All right. She came to us. She joined our data analytics program. And today she works as a data manager with Short Tree Systems Limited. She's been there for over a year now, close to 2 years. And I tell you for a fact, for a lot of people back in Nigeria, joining from Nigeria, watching this session or listening to me today, you wouldn't believe, the amazing, amazing opportunity available. Zainab is a perfect example, a perfect testament that there are amazing opportunities, even in Nigeria, and for those also looking to land remote jobs, working in Nigeria and working for companies outside Nigeria. All right. So that was how Zainab got her journey started. Absolutely phenomenal professional. And one of the things you'd also see here is what? Click to view my portfolio. Okay. So always remember, all right, you must always have a portfolio. Always. I'm sure this is not updated anymore because this was maybe 2 years ago or thereabouts when Zainab did this. But there's always a portfolio because that serves as evidence. I worked with Zainab. We worked on projects together. So I'm very, very aware of Zainab's story and her journey. All right. So for those who want to start, how can I start today? We have a new cohort starting on the 9th of August. That's next week, Saturday. And every month throughout this year, we've always had new cohorts every single month. The first Saturday of the month, you have a new cohort starting. But the beauty about this is we've had a discount running from the beginning of August, but the discount ends next week. So for those who are still interested in joining the August cohorts, starting next week, Saturday on the 9th of August, this is the best time for you to start. So how do you register? For any of the programs you want to jump into, business analysis, data analytics, data science, HR analytics, agile project management, the full amount is $900. But we have an amazing discount, like I said. Rather than paying $900, you get to pay just $750, which is a 20% off. And the moment you take advantage of that discount, you also have the opportunity to make payments in installments, 5 monthly installments. So what it takes for you to start, just like Israel, who asked the question the other time, is just $150. You get into the class and then you make your subsequent payments over the next 4 months. Okay, so the discounted fee is $750, and I'll show you how to register, show you how to get started, and then we still have time for our questions and answer. For those in the UK, what does this translate to? If I want to pay in pounds, or I'm currently in Germany, I'm currently in Portugal, I'm currently in Poland, and I still want to join, how can I join? Okay, what's the equivalent? How can I pay in euros and so on? And I'll show you how to do that very quickly. Okay, so once you click on this link right here, it takes you to the enrollment center. The enrollment center is where you have the opportunity to register for any of the programs. And I'll show you how to do that quickly. Okay. Now the discount ends. I'm going to come back to that to show you when the discount ends next week. All right. So you want to get started, take advantage, and ensure you don't miss out on the available slots. So let's assume I want to get a job like Chukwebuka, or like Zainab, I want to get a job in data analytics, or Chukwebuka in cybersecurity, or Sharon, who did our business analysis program and got a job as a business data analyst with the NHS, and she kept her sponsorship. Or like Hope, who had certificates but couldn't land a job, and she joined our Agile project management program and eventually landed a job as a project analyst in Waterloo, Ontario. You can select any of the programs right here. Okay, so say I want to join data analytics, for example. I click on register. It takes me to the payment center, and I get to see there are 19 slots available for the discount. Okay. So if I'm making payments in pounds, for those paying in dollars, you pay $150 per month. But if I'm paying in pounds, I get to pay just £123 per month. This is the amount I spend one trip to Tesco or, Marks and Spencer or, wherever. £123 is what gets you started, your journey in ensuring that you're able to make that transition. So you make this payment, you click on this if you want to make 5 monthly payments. You have further discounts if you make a one-time payment or you make 2 monthly payments. Okay. But if you want 3, 4, or 5 monthly payments, you can select your preferred option at your own convenience. All right. If I want to make payments in dollars, I just select the currency and then you'd see the different, plans available. If I'm paying in dollars, I get to pay $150 per month in 5 monthly payments, 187.5 in 4 monthly payments, $250 in 3 monthly payments. But if I'm making two monthly payments or one-time payment, I get an additional $50 discount. Okay. So depending on your preferred option, you always have that flexibility. If I want to pay in Naira, I can also do that. I just simply come here and I can select payments in Naira and you'd see the Naira equivalent of the program. Okay. If I want to make payments in 5 monthly payments or 4 monthly payments, as the case might be, I can pay in euros, Ghanaian cedi, South African rand, any currency, you can go ahead and make payments. Okay. But let's assume I want to pay in pounds. Okay. I select that. I select 5 monthly payments. So I make my first payment today, take advantage of the discount, and then when I start the program, I can keep on making my monthly payments for 5 months, and that gets me to my final payment. Secure your seats. You'd see the payment timeline. When you make the first payment in September, you make the second, October, the third payment, the fourth in November, and the final payment in December. You click on proceed, enter your details, your name, your email, your phone number, click on proceed, fill your credit or debit card details, and then you make the first payment of £123. The moment your payment is confirmed, you make the transaction, you get a confirmation to your email, and you also get redirected to a registration form. Fill the form, upload your proof of payment and all of that, and that is what gets you registered. Okay. If you are redirected and you can't fill the form at that given point in time, the link also gets sent to your email. So by Monday, you would have received your welcome kits. The welcome kits contains the link for you to join the WhatsApp group, the link for you to join your live classroom, the link for you to join the LMS. Okay, so you have access to all of that. You join those platforms ahead of the class starting on the 9th of August next week, Saturday. All right. So for those of you that have questions, you're not entirely sure, oh, should I go for cybersecurity? When I fill the quiz, I got recommended HR analytics, but I'm interested in business analysis. So all you need to do, if you still have that form, is you can book a free call, or I'll show you how to do it when filling the form as well. So if you've taken that quiz and you click on book a free call, it takes you to a Calendly and you can select your preferred dates, your preferred timing. We can meet with you on Sunday. If you want to meet on Sunday, for example, tomorrow, the 3rd of August, you have slots available Monday, Tuesday, and so on. So you can book your preferred timing and we organize a clarity session for you. If you have questions you want to ask, oh, do I go for this or go for that? Or I have 10 years in this or 5 years in that. What's the best for me? Or I got recommended data engineering, but I'm interested in data analytics. Okay. You can also do that while filling your form. So the moment you complete your first installment and you make payments, you get that link to the registration form. Okay. And the form looks like this. I'll show you what the form looks like. So if you can either book the clarity session the way I showed you from the quiz, or while filling the registration. Okay, so you come here, select your details, click on next. What type of payment did you make? If you made a one-time payment, you select full payment. If you made your first $150 or £123, you select that option, first installment, click on next. Okay. Uh, read the terms and conditions and all of that. Click on next. Click on next, select 8 months plan, 6 months training, 2 months internship. Click on next, fill all your details, gender, next. You have the information to reach out if you have any questions around registration, around admission. You can send an email to enquiries@10analytics.io or admission@10analytics.io. Or you can reach out to any of my colleagues on any of these numbers or send a WhatsApp message as well. Click on next. When did you make payments? You select the date. Okay, you select the date you made payments. You upload your payment receipts, and then what was your mode of payments? You also get to select it from here. Then you click on next. Okay. Sorry. This was taking time. Okay. So you select your mode of payments, click on next. It takes you to provide the details for the name on the accounts in which you used to make payments. So for sometimes, just like Christian, whose elder brother paid for him, in that case, the name of the account would be the elder brother's account because he made the payment. So if the person joining the training is different from the person that made the payment, then the name of the person that made the payment would be entered here. All right, click on next. Now, you can either book your clarity session the way I showed you from the quiz, or while filling the registration, you can select, I need to speak to a professional. Okay, so you select the program you're interested in. If you are sure, I want to do cybersecurity, I want to do business analysis, I want to do the full stack data science program, you can select any of these options. But if you're not sure and you want, you have questions, you want those questions answered, select, I need to speak to a professional. We organize a clarity session for you. We help you answer all the questions you have before you eventually go ahead to select your preferred program. Okay. If you've chosen one program before, data analytics, and you want to change, you have the option to do that. Even after you started, 2 weeks after let's take, for example, you start data analytics, you do that for 2 weeks, and you want to go to business analysis, you have the option to make that switch. Okay. So you do that, up until 2 weeks into the program. After 2 weeks, you can't make a change anymore, but you can select the program you're interested in. And even before the class starts, you want to change, you can always change that program. You just send a message to your class coordinator because you'd have joined one of the groups already, and somebody would help you address and organize that. Okay. So click on next. I need to speak to a professional. And for those who have commitments this August, you can't start on the 9th of August. You can take advantage of the discount and defer your program to start on the 6th of September. Okay. And the advantage for you is, for those who would have missed out on the discount, they would pay a higher amount compared to you. So you would have taken advantage of the discount. But rather than starting on the 9th of August, you can defer to start on the 6th of September. Okay. Fill the details, where you're joining from, the country, and all of that. And by the time you are done registering, this is what gets you into the program. All right. The discount ends on Monday, the 4th of August. The discount has been running from the beginning of this month. It ends on Monday, the 4th of August. And the reason why we always advise that you want to get in as fast as possible, you need to install some tools and some technologies. So say you join the data analytics program, for example, one of the things you'd want to do is get into your classroom. Okay. So, data analytics You want to get into your classroom. And once you get into your LMS, you want to install your tools. So you see tools and software installation, how to download and install Excel, how to download and install Power BI, how to download Power BI for Windows, for Mac, how to download and install PostgreSQL. So you have all these things. All right. So you want to make sure you join early enough.
Okay, so let's get
so that you can download and install all these tools well ahead of time. Okay, so we make this available to you ahead of time so that you have all those things sorted out in good time to get your journey started. And just before I come back to take questions, because I can see so many questions in the chat, for those of you who you want to enjoy amazing content from Tenalytics over the last 5 years, you also want to listen to professionals like you who have made that transition. You listen to a couple of them. You listen to Zainab. You listen to Chukwuebuka, who got a job as a security operations analyst. All right. You listen to amazing professionals today. And I told you a lot of stories of people who made the switch. Now, these professionals told their stories in one of our playlists. We have our success stories, our alumni job success stories. Okay, so go to YouTube. All right, go to YouTube, search for Tenalytics on YouTube. Okay, search for Tenalytics. It takes you to Tenalytics. Click on the logo. Make sure you subscribe. It takes you to our YouTube page. Okay, go to playlists. One of the playlists you'd see is the alumni job success stories. Click on that. Click on that and you'd see amazing content from people like you. Bukola, for example, Bukola was in HR back in Nigeria. She moved to the US. She wanted to land a job, a high-paying job. She joined our business analysis program, and Bukola landed a job as a HR business analyst with a company in the US. And she got this job even before she completed our program. So we helped her combine her HR experience back in Nigeria with a business analysis role, and she got a job as a HR business analyst. You have Chukwuebuka right here. You have, I think this is Linda, if I'm correct. You have Salami, who works with Flutterwave back in Nigeria. You listen to Zainab the other time. This is Judith, who works from the UK, works for a company in the US. So you have amazing professionals that would inspire you to get your journey started. All right. So this is a good resource center for you to come here and listen to amazing people. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, follow us across all platforms on LinkedIn and so on. So you're one of the first people that get to hear about the amazing stuff that we do. All right. So I'm going to take questions for the next 10 to 17 minutes, and then we call it a day. Let me see. Let me see questions. If you have questions, please type, but I'm just simply going to check. Amusa is paying. I paid Wednesday, July 30th. Check your spam. Okay, check your spam, Amusa. You likely would find the email in your spam. Okay, but if not, my colleagues would take note of that and you'd get it on Monday. But I can bet that you find it in your spam. All right, let me check. You have a certificate in data analytics. How can I enhance my skill to get a job? Again, like I said, your certificate means nothing. And that's simply because there is no industry regulated certificate for the data analysts. Anybody can have any certificate and say they have a certificate. And that's why you'd also get to find that employers would assess your skills. Okay. So a typical data analytics job application process would involve a case study presentation. They send you a data set, you'd analyze that data set and eventually make a presentation so they can tell how good you are. They would also want to see what you've done before. Okay. And this is what we've seen too many times. And that's why the strategy I shared with you today, how you learn the skills and having a portfolio to showcase your experience becomes very important for the person that asks the question. All right. But what you need to do, if you have the skills, then every other thing I've mentioned, if you don't have a portfolio, build one. Okay. If you don't have a mentor, find a mentor that you can bounce your ideas off, that can tell you what to do in certain situations. All right. And then eventually have somebody who can prepare you for interviews. So you increase your chances of landing an interview. Okay. So I've worked in the UK, for example. I know the way the UK work culture, the way the UK work environment looks like. Anybody who wants to land a job and is going for an interview, and I prepare you for that interview, it's a different ball game compared to somebody who is preparing for that interview from YouTube. Okay. So those are the things you have to take into consideration for the person who asked that question. Let me see. Somebody's asking, can we meet people on the program already? That's very easy. So what you want to do is you want to see what people are doing. I've shown you a couple of, success stories, but go to LinkedIn and just type 10 analytics. Okay, type 10 analytics, hit enter. Okay, and go to posts. Okay, 10 analytics, hit enter and go to posts. All right, you are likely going to find so many people doing stuff. This is Taiwo Adewale, for example. Taiwo is in our data analytics program, I believe. And this is Taiwo talking about what she's doing. Because one of the things you do in your LinkedIn optimization is to share your journey. Whatever you learn, you build in public, because that's the only way organizations can find you. That's showing the dashboard she's built. This is Chidi, Loretta. Chidi is also in one of our programs, and she's speaking about the problem she's solving, turning raw data into visual insights. This is Victor. Victor was talking about how he joined. He thought having an MSc would get him a job, but he was just joking. Okay, he did his MSc in the UK in data science, but eventually he came to us. Big shout out to 10 Analytics for their support and contributions towards my journey. No gatekeeping. Okay, so you get to see so many posts of people who are doing amazing stuff in our program. Okay, so that's the best way for you to see what people are doing. Just go on LinkedIn and you get access to all of that easily. You can also book a session, have a conversation with one of our career coaches, and they also get to support you. Okay, Chidi is saying, I've noticed that most of the roles your past learners get are data related, but since data is no longer, that's a big mistake people are making. Okay, data analytics is still part of the jobs that would give you sponsorship. Okay, and I'll show you that very quickly, Chidi. All right, so always ensure you do your research, and these information are available everywhere. Okay, do your research. Don't just listen to what people have to say. And I've heard so many people say this so many times, but it's a fallacy. As a data analyst, you can still land a job and you can still get sponsorship. It wasn't removed, and I'll show you that immediately. All right. So when you go to the skilled worker visa, eligible occupation, so just Google it yourself, okay? Eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. All right. So like I mentioned earlier, you have three categories: higher skilled, medium skilled, and ineligible. Higher skilled means RQF level 6 and above. What is RQF? Required Qualifications Framework. RQF level 6 simply means this skill is highly skilled, is a highly skilled area, or this job is a highly skilled area that would require a minimum of a bachelor's to a master's degree level, and so on. Okay, let's scroll all the way down. Let's look for data analytics. I think it's 3544. Good. Now, what the UK, the new changes, what happened simply was the data analyst role was categorized as medium skilled, RQF level 5. But because the data analyst role is in high demand, organizations want to hire for the data analyst role. It's in high demand. They put the data analyst role on something called the temporary shortage list. The shortage list contains, and let's search for it, the temporary shortage list. Okay, so just type for that, the skilled worker visa temporary shortage list. So these were some of the new changes from the 22nd of July. All right. So if you go to 3544 again, 3544, you'd find the data analyst role. So for roles that were categorized as medium and they are in high demand, employers are hiring for those roles. They were not removed. They were simply placed on the temporary shortage list. And this temporary shortage list contains job roles that are eligible for the skilled worker visa because they are in high demand. And the data analyst role is one of them. Okay, so the temporary shortage lists, I think, would be in effect between now till I think the end of 2026, if I'm correct. So anybody who lands a job today as a data analyst, you are eligible for sponsorship. If we go to UK visa jobs, for example, where you list jobs that come with sponsorship, you will find the data analyst roles today. Now, that is one that's the direct answer to your question. For the person who said you can't get sponsorship with this role, you can, and this is exactly what it is. Okay, now let me show you something that is also very important. Because this is medium skilled does not also mean that a data analyst who gets a job as an information analyst or a data analyst who gets a job as a business intelligence analyst cannot land sponsorship. And that's why you'd see organizations making changes to the job titles to ensure that they accommodate the requirements for sponsorship. And I'm going to give you an example of one of those roles. Intelligence analyst. Okay. So if you go to 2434, you'd see the business intelligence analyst role. Now, remember, as a BI analyst, to get a job as a BI analyst, you need to know Excel, you need to know Power BI or Tableau. Power BI or Tableau, one of the two. You don't need to learn the two. You also need to know Excel and you need to know SQL. As a data analyst, you learn Excel, you'd learn SQL, you'd learn Tableau, you'd learn Power BI, you'd learn data storytelling, you'd learn problem solving, you learn everything. So you have the skills to apply to jobs in business intelligence. And guess what? The intelligence analyst falls under what? Higher skilled. So these are the things you need to know. And this is not me saying it. This is based on what? The gov.uk website. Okay, this is gov.uk updated on the 22nd when it came into effect. All right. So it's always important. Book a session, ask your questions, and don't run with the wrong stories or the wrong impressions. All right. As an agile project manager, if you're in IT project management, for example, it doesn't mean that you can only do the job of the IT project management. No, you can get a job as a PMO analyst, as a project analyst. You can get a job in so many areas, but as long as it falls into the category of an IT project manager, then it's a higher skilled role, and so on and so forth. So that's another thing you need to understand, the related job titles and also the main job title. So as a data analyst, you can get a job as an intelligence analyst, a BI analyst, a business intelligence analyst, and so on and so forth. Okay, very key. But even apart from that, make no mistake, as a data analyst, you can still get sponsorship. Okay, very important. So that's it right there. The business intelligence analyst. If you apply to jobs in business intelligence, you get a COS. It's higher skilled, which means it meets all the requirements for sponsorship. Okay. Somebody's saying NHS data analysts are remote jobs. They work from home. They go to the office. Yeah, pretty much. So as a data analyst, as a business analyst, you have that option, and you always negotiate this during the recruitment process. Okay. So always chip it in. Ask the question, is this hybrid? How many days do I have to, can I work from home? How many days do I have to come to the office? But majority of the people that have landed jobs work from home. Ikmat, the lady I shared earlier, I want you to go listen to the interview. She works with the NHS and she works from home. This lady, she works with the NHS and she works from home. Okay. Same with Ramat. Same with Judith. All right. Judith works remotely 100% as well. Okay. Are there data analyst jobs with sponsorship in Canada? Absolutely. Okay. So depending on the province that you are, so let's take Alberta, for example. Okay. Alberta Advantage immigration. I have the link, but let me just see if I can Google. So it's easy for you to Google as well. Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, priority tech pathway. Okay, so let's see if it gives us the list. If not, I'll go to the link and just click on that. And from there, we can see the roles. Let me see. I think this is just the longer routes, but let's check from here and see. Okay, so the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, you have different pathways, but we're going to look for the tech pathway. Okay, I think it's under Express Entry. Let me see. I think it's under the Express Entry, but if not, like I said, I'll just simply show you. So here there's a dedicated health pathway. There's a tech pathway, the accelerated tech pathway. And this is what I want. So we just do Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, accelerated tech pathway. Okay, so you have the accelerated tech pathway, eligibility requirements. Let's see. Okay, let's see the lists. No, I think I clicked on something. Don't worry. Let me just click on the link that I have, because the website can be very confusing to get the specific job pathways. But I have the link right here. I'm just going to click on that and show you. You have that on my slide when you get my slide as well. Okay. So if you click on AAIP, it takes you to, you'll see the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, the accelerated tech pathway. So if you navigate on the website, you would find a link that would get you to this particular document. So you might want to go that route. It gets you right here. You'd see the jobs where you can get provincial nominations. You have 600 points. So when you have 600 points, that's automatic invitation to apply. Okay, so let's see the roles that are eligible and their NOC codes, their NOC codes. You'd see the HR managers, the HR professionals. So HR analysts would fall under the human resource professionals. Okay. You'd see the human resources recruitment officers. All right. you'd see the data scientists, you'd see the cybersecurity specialists, the business system specialists. These are business analysts. You'd see the information system specialists, the database analysts, and data administrators. The data analyst falls under this category. Okay, so if you check other pathways, Saskatchewan Tech pathway as well, you go to the Saskatchewan Tech pathway, and you look for both express entry, non-express entry. You get to see the roles that would also give you accelerated pathway to PR through provincial nominations, the data scientists, computer information system managers, cybersecurity, business systems specialists, information system specialists, the database analysts, data administrators. The data analyst falls under this category. The same with the BC Tech pilots, the Ontario PMP program as well, and so many of them. Okay, so for the person who asked that question, I think that was Waweru. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Daniel is asking, and I think this will be the last question for today. So we wrap up at 3:30, 10:30 UK time. I wanted to ask, are most data analyst roles remote, in-person, or hybrid? Just trying to get a sense of what to expect. So it depends on the organization. All right. For some organizations, you have the opportunity to work 100% remote. Now, from the beginning of towards the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, you had more organizations calling people back into the office, at least not every day, but you work 1 to 2 days per week, and then you can work remotely for the rest of the day. So you work remotely 3 days, 2 days, or depending, but you can always negotiate this into your offer. Okay, so it depends on the organization. It is not a straight jacket, one size fits all. Every organization, every data analyst has to work remotely. No. Even in Nigeria, while I was in Nigeria, I worked remotely for at least 2 years at a point. So when COVID happened and everything, I worked for at least 2 years, before I started going back to the office and before I left Nigeria as well. So it all depends on the organization. Okay. We have somebody who works in London, but he lives in Manchester. And from Manchester to London is roughly about 3.5 hours by train. But he only has to go to the office once in a week. So he could live in London, in Salford, okay, around Media City. He could live there and still, work for a company in London, working remotely, and also he goes to the office it used to be once in a month, then it became once in a week. All right. So rather than once in a month, they changed it to once in a week at a point, but he still had the opportunity to work remotely for the most part of his work with them. Let me see if you have any other questions. Are the core skills required for business and data analytics the same as those needed? The core skills, yes. The only thing the data analyst would learn that the HR analyst would not learn is Tableau. But the data analyst would learn Excel. HR analyst would learn Excel. Data analyst would learn Power BI. The HR analyst would. The data analyst would learn SQL. HR analyst would. The data analyst would learn problem solving. The HR analyst would. But the data analyst would learn Tableau, but the HR analyst would not learn Tableau. That's the only technical, technology. I would say that the data analyst has an advantage over the HR. Now, is it really an advantage if the HR analyst does not really need to use Tableau? Because Tableau and Power BI would do pretty much the same stuff. They're both BI tools, business intelligence tools. All right. So for the HR analyst, you already know how to use Power BI, which is the most adopted BI tool anywhere in the globe, anywhere in the world. Power BI, in terms of the BI ranking, is always at the top before Tableau. So as a HR analyst, you already know how to use Power BI. So there is no point learning Tableau. Okay, but as a data analyst, because of the different types of data you'd have to work with, compared to the HR analyst, because the HR analyst is more specialized. You work on people data, you work on HR data, like the person asking about, do I work remote? Do I work hybrid? Do I, work in person fully? The HR analyst comes up with the HR analysts in organizations come up with these decisions by analyzing productivity data. Productivity data before people started working remotely and after they started working remotely. Are they performing better when they work from home, or do they perform better when they work from the office? Okay. And break that down into departments, break it down into units. So the HR analyst can tell the departments that actually needs to work remotely and those that needs to come to the office. So the HR analyst comes up with policies and procedures. They come up with solutions from a data-driven perspective. So any HR strategy they want to implement, they do that from a data-driven perspective. Okay, the data analyst, on the other hand, would work with different types of data: sales data, customer data, research data. The HR analyst has no business with customer data, for example. So because of the different types of data that the data analyst would work with, they need to know both Power BI and Tableau. But for the HR analyst, it's really not necessary if you already know how to use Power BI. Okay, I hope, Femi, I answered that question. Are tools such as Excel, Power BI, Tableau included in the cost price? You don't need to buy these tools. You can use Excel for free, at least for the duration of the training. We show you how to do that. Same with Power BI and all the other tools. PostgreSQL is open source. You don't need to pay for that. So we show you, and that's why I mentioned the other time, under your installations, we show you what to do, and we also ensure that you have the right guidance, okay, on how to do that. Except you use a MacBook. If you use a MacBook for some Windows applications, you might need to have a virtual machine on your MacBook to install Power BI, for example. But we also show you how to do that. But that would need you to subscribe to a platform for you to be able to do that. Okay. Let me see if I have more questions. Okay. I think all the other questions have been answered by my colleagues. All right. So as we wrap up our session today, the most important thing, the most important step for some people, they've joined us from January up until this moment, and they've seen people who started even after January and they've landed jobs already before the end of 2025. For example, Sharon, who joined in March, she joined us in March this year, and in May, she moved from a healthcare assistant to a business data analyst, and so many other people like that. All right. So the best thing you want to do is to get started. If you have questions, book a clarity session, speak to one of our career coaches, and you have the opportunity to get those questions answered. I'll take a breather. And remember, the discount ends on Monday, so you have enough time to ensure you still take advantage and get into the program. Sarah is asking, what's the importance of financial analysis? It is absolutely important. One of the only roles that you'd find anywhere, it doesn't matter the organization, a for-profit organization, a not-for-profit organization, a government organization, any organization would always require financial professionals, people that can analyze, help them create a budget, create different financial models. For example, Sarah, you work for a company and you want to establish a new manufacturing plant, and you want to know if it will be beneficial, worthwhile to the company. One of the things you do to help the company take that decision, should we establish a manufacturing plant or should we keep on importing from China? You do something called a cost benefit analysis. You'd also help to create financial models to show your base case scenario, your best case scenario, and your worst case scenario. So the financial analysts would compute these numbers and help the business take a decision to say, hey, it's not worth our while to set up a manufacturing plant because of FX issues, because of these issues or that issues. And if we do it, we're not likely going to get as much benefits as we assume. So it's better for us to keep on importing from China and would get more return on our investments. It hits our bottom line. We get more from our bottom line at the end of the day. So you help the company make this decision. You analyze the company's financial data to help them identify areas for cost optimization. Where can we optimize costs? How can we ensure we don't spend money on frivolities and things that, we really don't need to spend money on? When Trump sneezes today in the US, or tariff 30%, tariff 15%, how does that impact the budget you set up or you set out to achieve at the beginning of the year? So you carry out those scenario changes, those scenario analysis based on different assumptions and parameters. And that's the role of the financial analyst. Okay, so if Trump hits Canada, for example, with a 35% tariff, how does it affect Costco as a business? How does it affect Walmart as a business? And so on and so forth. So the financial analyst would help the company make those decisions, understand the impact to their top line, to their bottom line, using financial data to make those decisions. So that's the importance of a financial analyst. And I hope I answered that question, Sarah. And at this point, at this juncture, we call it a day. If you've gotten value, you've had a good time today on a Saturday, type in a yes into the chat as we start to wrap up our session today. Let's type in a yes. Fantastic. Daniel, Gabriel. So the most important thing, like I always say, is to get started. If you have questions, book a clarity session. If you have a friend, you have a colleague, you have a family member that you know that needs this, share the link with them. Or better still, if you can register them to get started. You might just be making a major change in their career, just like Christian's brother did. And today, Christian at the age of 18 was able to land a job. Okay, follow us across all platforms. I'll be looking forward to working with you for those of you starting on the 9th of August, 2025. Thank you very much. Have an amazing time. And thanks for joining us today. And I hope to see you in some other session. And I can't wait for you to get started. Cheers, everyone. And I'll see you some other time.